with the cold winter temperatures comes a challenge. And I've been trying to figure out how to solve it.
So I'm currently altering my feed routine to see if I can get supplements into my horses.
You see, many of their supplements, like their Vermont blend or vitamin E, come in a powder, which, quite frankly, isn't always appealing to horses.
And if you've ever cared for a Mustang, you know that they can be pretty skeptical around new foods.
I mean, I guess you can't be too careful around humans. And if they don't want to eat whatever you're offering them, even if you mix it, they are experts at sorting their food.
Okay, so I enlisted Raven to participate in an extremely scientific research study.
We're just evaluating how much supplement does not get consumed, and I just wanted to give a demonstration. You might remember when I first adopted Raven. She was highly skeptical of new foods, and at one point I mixed in grain with her alfalfa. And after leaving it with her overnight, I returned the next morning to find that she had sorted the alfalfa from the grain. I had hoped that having it overnight she would have eventually at least tried it, but no. She took a very long time to finally trust taking treats, even treats like carrots or apples or cookies.
The one treat that seems to work best with new Mustangs is alfalfa, which is actually a legume really high in protein. I don't have any today, but I have something similar. These are Timothy pellets, and they look like this. This is what alfalfa pellets pretty much look like as well. And a lot of Mustang people will use soaked alfalfa pellets as the vessel to introduce new foods and new treats, and that works really well. It also worked really well in the summertime when I wanted to feed supplements. Just soak it and you're good to go. But now it's not summertime. So feeding a wet, soaked feed isn't really an option right now.
So yesterday, Raven began her research with a dry supplement on pellets. We'll see just how much supplement is left.
And just to clarify, Raven is definitely past her initial skepticism, but it took her a very long time just to get past that distrust of trying new things. And even now, for example, she tried a candy cane the other day, and she tried it, she took it, which is good, but she spit it out, so she's a little bit of a skeptic.
And like I said, that skepticism you see is quite common with Mustangs. Okay, back to our research. Raven finishes and leaves behind her bowl. As you can see, there's a little bit of supplement left around the edges, but a significant amount of that scoop that went in here was wasted.
So I do think at this point, Raven is willing to take a supplement. Theodore, on the other hand, he's an expert in blowing into his feed to separate the powder from the actual pellet itself, so he will avoid eating it. Maybe I'll have to do another case study. Anyway, I'm going to show you what I've been doing.
The results of our extremely precise scientific experiment revealed that a lot of supplement was being wasted, which, if you're paying for it, you really want your horse to eat it. So here's what I've been trying instead. I begin by scooping only a small portion of their pellets and adding supplements. This begins hours in advance or even the night before. Like I said, maybe not the most efficient, but the objective is to soak this small amount of pellets and really just mix in the supplements. But I'm careful to not add too much water because I really want this to dry out. Because again, I don't want things to be freezing when I feed my horses. So it dries into this crumble that's just a little bit moist, but everything is sticking nicely together. At this point, I could feed as is or add the rest of the feed, which is what I usually do.
So once my crumble has dried, I add more pellets and mix it all in.
Okay, at this point, I can already see all the "why don't you just XYZ" comments. If all I was doing was feeding these two horses at my house, there are definitely much simpler ways to do it. But I'm thinking about how can I pre-make a supplement package, basically, that I can bring to the rental barn where there is no hot water, there is no heat. And I'm also trying to have some freedom in my schedule so I don't have this chain reaction where I make the feed and then immediately drive to the barn to go feed it. Because oftentimes I go to the barn from a different location. So I'm essentially experimenting here with a method that I hope to use with the horses at the rental barn with the goal of wasting less supplements.
Alright, I'm going to close the gate on the girls. So right now my setup doesn't have a divider. I've got one side over here, I want to get a gate and a panel going across here to close that off, but more on that in a second. If I put their feed further enough apart, usually they stay put. Charles! All right, we'll let these ponies pick their buckets. I'm gonna let Raven go. All right, Raven, which bucket you gonna choose? All right, there goes Sparrow. Okay, so this usually works keeping the horses separate, but ideally I would like to get a divider in between here. So these are my original 6-foot Mustang panels. I ordered them from the Chubby Bard Gate in Kentucky, and they ship to Vermont. I think it's for like $150 they will ship to Vermont, but it's hard to find places that will ship this far north up to New England, and they do. So I got these panels. These are the economy panels, which in retrospect I do wish that I'd gotten the heavyweight ones. When I chose these panels, I was thinking a lot about training methods and techniques, and I was wanting to train with lower energy and, you know, not having these crazy wild training sessions. My goal was calm and peaceful, but most of the damage, or all of the damage, has been from other moments. The horse-to-horse interactions, a horse trying to reach across the panels. So this green screen thing has really been helpful, you know, keeping horses inside. And this I added to keep Sparrow from, it was Sparrow primarily who was reaching across for the grass on the other side, but she was dragging and moving these panels because they're not the heavyweight ones. You know, like the butt scratching. The other thing that damaged the panels is just Nathan hitting it with a tractor, but mostly the horse-to-horse interactions were the biggest damaging, and then reaching for something on the other side. I really need to put a few more zip ties on that green screen. I will say the gates. These gates are the number one, I guess, highest injury rate. So this is my last gate. I've had, I don't know, 2 or 3 of these gates go, may they rest in peace. But the thing that happens with these is, as you can see, there's one of the bars goes across the bottom here, and they tend to disconnect. As you can see that here, this one the weld has not held, and they often have this happen. So this one is on its last leg, literally. Right now, this is sinking into the ground, and I'm trying to not disturb it too much because I want this panel to last for, I don't know when I can get these panels again. Because of that, this has shifted, and now it's like doesn't really match, but that's not a big deal. But I just kind of hope that this will last until I need it to last. So obviously, or I guess maybe not obviously, but I've needed some panels along the way to add spaces, divide horses, and I've been in a really mobile environment. So I had some panels at the various places I had my horses over at this summer, and that was really helpful just to have something that's portable. But anyway, when you go to buy panels, usually you can't afford a whole shipment worth of them. So I've gone to Tractor Supply, and these are the 5-foot panels that I've picked up. I had a round pen, 2 sheds that Nathan had built, and then 2 different separate wings. And one wing had these panels, and then the other one had Tractor Supply panels, which I added a board across the top to make it 6 foot. And you really only have the 6-foot requirement when you have the untitled, ungentled Mustang. So even though I don't need that right now, I am trying to keep my facility eligible to adopt a Mustang, because you guys know I would love to do it again. That is my heart. I love gentling Mustangs, and I would really love to do it again. So I'm trying to maintain my facilities so that I can be in a position where I could take in a Mustang. So Raven's over here finishing up. Oh, good. Beautifully cleaned bowls. So yeah, that's the system that I've been developing for the cold weather. It's not perfect, but it's the best I can come up with. We might not need it though pretty soon. As you can see, the snow is melting, about to come off. It's actually gonna warm up these next few days, which is kind of awful because then we get the mud and then it will freeze inevitably, and then it's ice. So I've only been letting the girls out in the pasture because we have snow. But I'm really trying to protect the ground because I'm thinking about springtime and I can't have them absolutely destroying it when it gets muddy. So that's kind of sad. It's definitely far nicer to turn out when we have snow, right, Raven? She's like, yes. Want to say hi to everyone? Can you say hi? Okay, but the one perk about the warmer weather is that this bucket here, I filled this a couple videos ago when we were getting ready for the cold snap, which is now what, a little over a week maybe? So during that warm spell, it'll be easy for me to dump, scrub, and refill with the hose before it freezes again. Okay, so I just have to tell you guys about this scammer that I was recently chatting with. And yes, I do actually really enjoy chatting with scammers. I think it's fun to scam the scammer. So there was a scammer that I was talking to recently. Right away, I knew they were a scammer based on the ad. So they were selling a round pen, which I've been on the market for because I could use some panels. And they had this listing for this round pen. And the story was they had a horse that had colic and was having surgery and things went bad. So now they were selling the round pen and they said, oh, it'd be a great Christmas gift. But when you looked at the ad, the panels they were selling were from Tractor Supply, which I know very well. And they labeled them as 6 feet tall, which they're not. Tractor Supply does not sell 6-foot panels. The panels were also way underpriced, which is like a dead giveaway. And then when I went to her profile, she had a picture of her with this horse, the broken hearts. But then on her profile, you could see that they actually used a different person. So unless she aged really quickly, yeah. Definitely a scammer. This person did have a significant number of friends, which is something you want to look for. Often a lot of scammers will have a brand new profile and they don't have hardly any friends, and that's kind of a warning sign. There was this scammer this summer that it was hilarious. I spent half an hour chatting with them, like back and forth. They were selling a horse trailer. I knew right away it was a scammer, and I like filmed the whole like conversation. I was gonna make a video on it and it was hilarious, but they were selling a trailer and then I ended up being this like over enthusiastic person. Anyway, they said they used it for donkeys and I'm like, oh my gosh, do you have any for sale? And then I'm like, send me pictures. So I was like, they were having to send me pictures and all the things, and they were straight up getting annoyed with me towards the end. They were like, can you please just send a deposit? I'm at work. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. It was hilarious. And their profile ended up getting shut down, obviously, because they were a scammer. Did you enjoy your science experiment? She's like, can you sign me up for more? May I halter you with one hand? I know. Mom is such a klutz. So pretty and pink. Yeah, so pretty and pink. So anyway, back to this Christmas scammer. So I started by playing around a little bit, and the dead giveaway is the scammers, they don't want you to come immediately and pick it up. So I tried that approach. Hey, I'm interested. I'd love to come pick it up. That instantly scares them off because they don't want you picking up today. They want you to pick it up in a few days because then you'll have to put a deposit down. So after a few hours of them not responding, I messaged again and said, hey, since I didn't hear from you, I can't pick it up anymore, but maybe next week. And so then they said that, oh yeah, sure, but you have to put a hold on it. And the funny thing is, when I asked for the address, they actually provided me an address, I kid you not, less than a mile from my parents' home where I grew up. So I happen to know this farm and that they've never had horses, so they just pulled out an address from the great internet, I guess. And then they kept asking me to secure it, and I just played dumb, and I'm like, oh, but I can't come right now. And then they're like, but you need to secure it first, and then Facebook set their profile down, so... And then it did actually notify me later on that beware, this is like a person from another country. So Facebook was on top of that. But then today, another situation happened with, what was it this time? Oh, it was a run-in shed. So I've done the panels, horse trailer, the run-in shed. There was a run-in shed that was ridiculously cheap and something that I would have loved to have. They were a scammer. Their profile was taken down like within minutes. So I wasn't even able to have my conversation with them. And this is the return of the Christmas scammer. It's the same phone number in both the ads. I tell you though, these scammers are really out in full force. And I consider myself, like, I feel like I'm pretty good at identifying them. So maybe I'll do like a full-blown official video sometime on chatting with a scammer, because it's kind of fun. I like to scam scammers. But it is kind of, there's a lot of things a lot of like tips and stuff to look out for, ways you can kind of identify if they're a scammer, and maybe I could make it from like that standpoint, because it is scary, like how many people are out there just trying to get money dishonestly. You wouldn't know. Of course not.
So now I'm just going to do a little bit of work on Raven's feet. My farrier has been coaching me to do some trimming on my own horses, so this is something I do about every other week, though ideally I'd be doing it every week. After I finish with Raven's hooves, I'm planning on getting some editing done. That's one thing you guys don't see is the enormous back end of editing. And future me speaking, this video took a lot longer than it should have. I did want to make sure I said thank you to Trish for sending a Tractor Supply gift card. That was a really cool surprise. But I wanted to share that what I'm going to be doing with that is putting it towards a gate. So I am going to enclose this. I'm going to put a panel and a gate here, enclose this space. So that way I do have a whole separate enclosure. I can separate the girls. Because right now you can see this is just coming off of my shed. It ends there. And then here they're just like tied together. But I'm going to finish that. And even though the Tractor Supply panels aren't 6 feet, let's be honest, you can't ever have too many panels, ever. And the 5-foot panels, they are good for gentle Mustangs. They're also really good for a quick portable setup. And if I move to different property, having the ability to set up fencing really quick is so helpful. So I think that panels are a worthy investment, and I do hope I can get my 6-footers in at some point, but right now we're just gonna make do with the 5-foot. So, but anyway, thank you, Trish. That was so cool to come home to that. So thanks. Maybe I'll let these girls back out while they can get out before it gets all muddy. Come on, girls. I have a hay bag out here hanging. That's actually I was hanging hammocks this summer. I love hammocks and I've been lazy to take them down, but I'm like, I should hang a hay bag there. And I would love I want to hang one, and there's a stump down there I've purposefully kept because I want to just use it to create some landscape scratching post, hay bag holder, whatnot. But I figured having some stations where I can like hang hay bags is really nice. I'm hoping to find a variety of places where I can hang hay bags. I have a couple trees I'm planning on, but we'll see what I can come up with. The idea being to create multiple feeding stations to encourage movement. I have to say, I am pretty excited about all the things that I'm doing with this little property. You know, if we don't end up moving anytime soon and are stuck here, I want to make the most of it. So I'm getting into it. One thing that would be really great to have is an outdoor water spigot, because right now we're just using water that comes out from the side of our home. I should say the spigot comes out of the side of the home, but it would be really awesome to have a spigot up by the horse shed, but I'm just dreaming right now. I don't know what that would take or cost, but there's so many competing things that have to get done. It's just, yeah, we'll see. I'm just doing a little spying on the horses with my drone. Raven is pretty brave, though, I will say. She's pretty good around it. You guys just saw that I got pretty close to her. Sparrow only came over once I pulled it away a little bit. But yeah, I think this little drone has certainly been earning its keep. And hey, look, here's a day without it running away. That is quite an achievement. But anyway, back inside, I'm going to do some editing of the content that I already have. And after a few hours of that, it's time for evening chores. Hi, ladybugs! They're both still finishing their hay bag under the tree. Oh no, look at all the snow that's melting. All right, we'll grab their supper here, bring them back inside the round pen area. Raven, can you go back to your room? Thank you, ma'am. Oh, your room, please. Go to your room. All right, Raven's coming with me. Hopefully Sparrow will follow her. All right, good night, girls. Now I gotta go down to the boys. So I'm gonna drive over to that rental barn. So I have to like lift it up on my foot to close this gate. There we go. Okay, so it's 38 degrees and it definitely feels really nice. Like, it just feels really warm on the skin. Hi, sir. And just like that, evening chores are done. It's always nice to have such a peaceful end to the day. But wait, I have more editing. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.